Okay, so right before the break, we were looking at putting audio and video in our page using the audio and video elements. But the only thing to remember is to turn on the controls attribute or autoplay so that they start. Personally, I really dislike autoplay, but I suppose there is a time and place for it. Or if you like autoplay, you just add that attribute in. But those seem a little out of date. Like I had to go dig around through the records of courses taught several years ago looking for audio and video files because I don't keep those on a computer anymore. I don't have any audio or video files on my computer. So let's look at the modern way we would do that. And this is something, a whole bunch of things that kind of go together. So, main tag, and we'll put a bunch of stuff in the main tag. Where would we normally go to get a video? Not our local hard drive, right? First place we're going to check is YouTube. Or sometimes we'll just do a random Google search and had one of those over the weekend where it threw up a bunch of videos and I have to filter it down to YouTube videos because I don't want to see all those others. Like, I was looking for a YouTube link specifically. Not sure why they were buried deeply in there. But if we go over to YouTube and pull up some sort of video. Oh, after that last search, here's a Bruce Springsteen makes There Might Be Something Good on Here. Things that are old enough for to not have to worry so heavily about copyrights. Oh, actually, this is a really good version of this song. Really young. And what is that, 43 years old? So not going to be pursued as heavily in copyrights as other stuff. So down here we have a couple of buttons. Click download. That one's new, but apparently you have to pay to actually get to the download button to use. So
seeing it ever since I started using YouTube.
Maybe I just never noticed it before. Or maybe it used to include the logo until it was paid for.
I think the first time I saw it was like
Okay, so that's not very new. I guess I just didn't notice it for a long time. She said 2019. So it's been there at least 4 years. And yeah, I tend to not look at the buttons under the video. But if we go to the share button, there's something a little bit more useful. The one over here on the right, embed, and that kind of looks like a symbol we've been typing a whole lot of this semester, right? They give us the icon that looks roughly like the HTML tags. If we click that, we get some HTML code. You can start at different places, choose to turn off the controls. You can look through some of those, but just copy and paste this code. Copy. And when we put that in our thing, it comes in this iframe tag, which I'm working on. You see there's a whole bunch of them, but it brings the tags in and everything. And that's pretty much it. Why is it unavailable?
I guess it is pretty new. So 2021.
Oh,
I was wrong.
I only noticed it within the last year. Well, that's not. I'm not load up. Gives us the size of it, the address, autoplay. Well, it should just be that simple to get that up there, but I'm not sure why it's not embedding. No other options. Let me try that again. Copy that. Paste it in there. I'm gonna take autoplay out because I don't like autoplay. Just reload. Okay, I have no idea why that's not embedding. Let me try a different video. Maybe there is some copyright protection on some of them or something. Some American Dad video. Let's see if this one will work. But it should just be a matter of copying and pasting that right into your page like that. Okay, maybe there's copyright protection on that or something. That is new. It has only been, hasn't been more than 6 months since the last time I did that. And that was things that I know were copyrighted because one of them was from Joel's most recent album, which I guess the song itself is like 30 years old, but that's definitely still full level of the copyright stuff. It still counts as new. This video worked. I guess some episode of that show. But in general, whoops, don't need that. That's all we have to do to get a YouTube video on our page. I'm not sure why that one didn't work. I will maybe try some other ones. It could be copyrighted, but that video I pulled up was a live version of stuff. Will this one work? There's not actually a video there. So I'll grab another video. So just hit that share button and copy and paste that code. Let's see if this one doesn't work, there might be some copyright protections on there. Because both of those were from the artist official site. So you might have to go find where somebody else put the same video up there. No, they might have added some copyright protections in the last few months that I didn't stay up to date on. But some regular person's video worked. I'll take out that one that doesn't work. It does show ads and everything when you do it that way. It pulls up it does the whole full YouTube thing. It pulls up ads, makes recommendations again. Targeted advertising, so not just random advertising. Songs we can do the same way. So if we go to Spotify, .com, probably could have typed that and gone right to the page. I don't need songs. There it is. Changed since the last time I was on here. What's a good song? I can do that song here. Bruce Springsteen. River. That one it wouldn't let me copy and paste it. Oh. Am I not logged in? Definitely have to be logged in on this one though. I should have an account, but sorry. I swear I have a Spotify account. I listen to music there regularly, periodically. Let's stop that. And then once again, there is share buttons on here somewhere. If you right click and go to share, there's an option for embed track. And then hit the checkbox for show code. And then just copy and paste it. Or I think the copy button brings it right over. That's a bit more of a modern way to do that. I will look into those YouTube things and see what's going on with them. But if you have some music, want to put audio or video on your site, that's a much better way to do it. If nothing else, upload the video to your own YouTube account, and then you're in charge of that copyright information, so it's not going to be blocked. That's my guess as to why that happened, because both of those videos came from the artist official account instead of some arbitrary person. And on Spotify, they do get paid for it, so that's different altogether. But when you pull any song up, just right click, share, and embed, and you can pull up the code and copy and paste yourself, or there's just a big green button to copy and paste it into your site. And then you can use things like CSS to hide that. It's just an HTML tag, so we could add a class and then display none, so we don't actually see it, we just hear it. That might not be the best idea, because if you put display none, you wouldn't be able to access the play button. But different things, you can make it small, adjust the size, turn autoplay on or off, make little adjustments. You can look through there. But basically, it's copy and paste code. We don't have anything fancy we need to do. Audio and video aren't the only things we can do like that. So one that I know several of y'all might need for your thing, for your projects. I know where it's at, but I'll go the way you're gonna go through. Maybe you have some stuff that could be sold on your final project. You want to go ahead and set that up. You can just search for PayPal buttons. PayPal button, a PayPal buy button. That was the Google autofill when I type more than just PayPal. We just search for that. PayPal.com. There's a link that says buttons right at the top. You do have to have a business PayPal account, or at least in the past you did. They were talking about updating that, but then they made a bunch of changes. Y'all may have heard about some of those changes, like when you have to report to the IRS, and what happens if an account goes untouched for years. Because there were some of those where people put a bunch of money on PayPal and then never even logged back on, never spent that money anywhere. 10 years later, they're like, what do we do with this? So they made a bunch of changes right after they were talking about that, and I never heard how, if you still have to have a business account. But you can have both a personal and a business account, so just create a new account and click business.
I don't have any account in the work.
Okay, so just hit that. I usually log on, but yeah, it's oops. I almost forgot my PayPal password, because everywhere else PayPal stopped using passwords. It sends me a code. It just sends a code to my phone and I type in the number. So we got smart buttons. If you want to subscribe, buy now is probably a good one. Smart subscribe is new. I haven't looked at that one. This thing. Donate says new, but it's been around. There's been a donate button for a while, so maybe they did some stuff. If we go to the buy now button, that's probably the one you want.
Oh, no. So it doesn't work.
Oh, it didn't. So you do need a PayPal account, and I think you need a business account. I don't think they switched it to the personal account. And that's just because once it is, business accounts already went to the IRS, they don't send a dollar amount until it passes a certain level. Yeah, it's not much. Somebody borrowed some money off me, and when they paid me back through PayPal, so I had to report this year. Like, oh, should have just told them to pay back in small amounts or something. So we choose type of button, give it the name, fake item, ID 1234 sounds good. It's going to be $19.95 US dollars. Add drop down menu with options, so it comes in green, blue, add colors, sizes, things like that. So they do have a whole database and all that for you. Shipping, let's say dollar. That's not good shipping. $3.50 for shipping. So cheap shipping, but not free shipping, so people don't start to worry. Because for a long time, people would always look for the free shipping. But now people have kind of gotten, people look a lot more, remember that phrase of you get what you pay for, and they know what happens with free shipping. And things often need ordered again with free shipping. Comes late, damaged, and all of that, when $1 would have guaranteed it to get there on time. People are getting used to that. Tax rate, if that applies, I don't think it applies in Indiana. Here in California, you definitely have to pay the taxes. That's state by state. They're pretty straightforward. Use your account ID and all that, and track it. You can set up inventory. If you have business accounts, you can also have invoice templates, so it'll link right to the templates. Connect it to your database. This isn't a database class, so you don't need to get into all of that. But even without a fancy database, you can put a number in there to tell them to stop selling when there's 7 of them or something. Or if you're selling art and each one's a unique one of a kind thing, probably want to stop after one's sold. Like only sell one of them to avoid doing that. You can look through all the options there. Really, that first box is the only ones that we need to do. And checkout pages, custom invoices, and things like that. If you have a business PayPal account, you would probably set up custom invoices elsewhere and just link to your custom invoices that have your logo and all the fancy stuff on them. It's mostly just step 1. Choose the button, kind of look through it, the other ones, fill that out, and we hit create. Again, we get this code, a button, and then there's a select code, just a highlight, which is really a highlight all button. I don't know why they didn't go ahead and make a copy button like everybody else does. PayPal just gives you a highlight the code button, so you still have to hit Control C and then bring that over here and Control V to put it in your page. And there's several things. Let me put that in its own little tag. Section tag. Just to keep everything straight. And the indentation's weird here. There we go. And in the section tag. So down at the bottom, got the little buy now button, and you would want to set up one for each one of your products. I skipped past it. There was a description box, so you can get the description box, all of that. We hit buy now. it goes right to the secure checkout. There's different ways to log in with PayPal, or notice it goes directly to a credit card option as well. Somewhere there's a checkbox where you can set that on your button. That might be the smart buy button, where you can choose whether it goes to PayPal as the primary or the backup. Anymore, I think I would probably prefer that to be the PayPal to be the backup one. Go to the credit card first. Who can enter all the stuff, the billing information, they get all of that, and then the pay button. It's all handled for you, so it's really, really easy. I mentioned that on a couple of project proposals. If there was something that could be sold, you might want to go ahead and put that on your page and set it up to sell the stuff. Might as well. It's an easy way to do it. I noticed it already included the shipping and the price and everything together. And split it up as a receipt. So all the fancy formalities are handled for you. You don't have to deal with all that stuff yourself. And it's going to be a lot more secure when they enter the credit card information than if you would try to secure that yourself. But again, just a copy and paste thing. There's lots and lots of those. So maybe next up, Facebook like button. All right, we got a nice page together. We want people to be able to let us know they like our page. That helps if we're trying to monetize it or something. I always just search for it. The address here is kind of hard. I always have trouble remembering it for some reason, but it seems straightforward when I see it. I never can remember it, and then you have to go back to Google and search for it, and I'm like, how did I remember developer stuff? But for some reason, that one just doesn't stick in my mind. And here we just have to say what the page we want to like is. So that one, you might have to look ahead. So I know where I'm going to put this page. I'm going to go up to it's going to be hosted here. And there's going to be a link down here that says module 5 day 1 that has the embed folder. So /embed /index.html, which doesn't exist yet, but I know that's where I'm going to copy and paste that. Or I'm going to copy and paste that address because I know that's where this page is going to be going by the time anybody other than myself can see like. You can change some sizes in it. If you need that's the width of the div that holds it. So it's not the button. The buttons come in the preset sizes, but the container that holds it is going to change. The standard layout, the ones with the counters in them, like, recommend, big and small. Yeah, there's only two. The buttons don't change, but the div they come in does. But when we get to copy and paste, you'll see that is just the width attribute. So you can retype what goes in this box with no problem at all. And then the checkbox, I don't need the share button. Or maybe you do want the share button. You're promoting your own artwork or your own music or somebody's book. You might want to go ahead and that's definitely a time you would want to include the share button. And then we need both of these. So this does require some JavaScript. We're going to see a little bit of JavaScript soon, a little bit of PHP. The book also has jQuery. We'll talk about that later. I'm not personally a fan of it. I have nothing against it. I don't ever use it. But we'll talk about that when we get to JavaScript. So we do have to copy this first one and put it up near the top of the page. Or really, this has to go before this. So putting the script up near the top of the page assures that it'll be loaded by the time the computer gets down to reading the actual button at the bottom of the page. And yeah, that's about as complicated as these things go. There's you have to paste two things for the like buttons instead of pasting one. So paste the script up near the top somewhere, and then down at the bottom, paste the other button itself. It comes in its own div with a class, so it's ready to head over to the style sheet and everything. Just take note of what the class name is, so you're ready to style that in your CSS. Because you probably want it to, you definitely want the button to blend into your page somehow. You don't want just a bunch of social media buttons with a white background, unless that's appropriate for your page, like the way they look on YouTube. Ones we looked at earlier. This video again, when we hit the share button, well, the buttons by themselves with a white background look appropriate there, but that would not be the case on Spotify, right? If we pull up the share button, I thought they had the buttons there, but still a bunch of social media like buttons with a white background would not fit at all on this page, right? That would be blinding, especially for people watching that. Excuse me, listening to music on Spotify late at night in a dark room. So down here, we now have that like button, so we can click that repeatedly and like that website that doesn't exist yet. Now, if I click that a couple times, notice it didn't store it. The website doesn't exist. So when it tried to like that, it's like, oh, that URL's bad. But when it gets loaded up, when this page is uploaded to that site, then that'll work and do all the stuff you would expect from the Facebook button, things there. Where, I usually don't write anything important on Twitter. I'll like write haikus and stuff here. It seems like a good place to write haikus, and I delete it once a year. And it's January, so there's no new ones. Need some stuff for a class example. Like that. Nice weather today. And two, that's a start. So we have all the buttons that we would kind of expect there. And if you click after you've made the tweet, you come over here and there's an embed button like we've seen. Which goes right over to this page, which hopefully has the other stuff. Okay, that just went with the one tweet. I was expecting some more buttons here, so we can embed one tweet at a time. The site, the address for that is publish.twitter.com. And there's the choice. So you can either embed a single tweet, the entire timeline, or buttons so that people can tweet right from your page. So if you're doing a site to promote things, which a couple of y'all are doing for your final projects, the tweet right from the page is kind of nice. So you don't have to jump over to another tab. Somebody doesn't have to leave your website to go tell their friends about it. They can hit that button and it's going to pop up on their account. For timeline, but they're all kind of the same. I don't have a timeline. Oh, actually, you have to create the timelines. And from I actually have to go to the particular tweet, which does make it quicker here. I don't embed much from Twitter. That would just seem like the good example. If you go to publish.com, you can get all that, copy the code. I think you all see the pattern going here now, by now, right? All the stuff is right there, ready to go. Well, last time I did that, just click timeline and it automatically pulled my stuff, but maybe there's another button somewhere where you can get the whole timeline. Wherever you get the URL for all of your tweets, which one would that be in? Should be under Explore. Oh, under Home. Yeah, I don't know what the I'm not sure where I grabbed the URL for that. I don't do that very often. That just seemed like one of the main ones we hear about it most often. Well, you also, I just told you what happened on Twitter. I read haikus and then once or twice a year delete them. To my knowledge, nobody has ever looked at them. But it's still just a copy and paste for however you want to do it. The tweet button, especially if you're promoting things, that to actually put a button so somebody can tweet right from your page is nice. Share button, follow button, mention button. Probably mention button would be the best one for promoting stuff, or whichever one you want. You can try different things, but again, it's just copy and paste the code. Did I save that? Yeah. And then get the tweet to pop up there, which it links to it. Notice it didn't copy the contents of that tweet. It copied the URL to it. So if we go back in there and delete the original tweet, then it's gonna, yep. Most people in our world have probably seen it, right? This tweet's been deleted. Get the box. So the box is still there, but it just, you can delete the words from it. Then that is what would be embedded on your page. Few of those, what else do I have on the list? Oh, stock market widgets. That's a good, another example of it. But it's kind of like it. Are you starting to think that's a very normal thing most websites have? So when you make a big fancy website, you might want to include that as well so that people can, when other people make websites, they can pull the stuff off pull the buttons that connect right back to your website. Something to keep in mind. I guess otherwise it's really, really easy. But the big thing is to keep in mind that you might want to come back to it. Stock market widgets. Let's see if this gets to the one that I use quickly. Tradingview.com. Yeah, that's the ones. I've been using tradingview.com for a while to track stocks. There's lots of them. We can customize them as what it is. So we'll go back to that my domain. I think it's investments.html. So a place I can just pop on a couple times a day and check all of certain things with meters and the tickers and all of that stuff to see what the investments are doing or track all that finances. That's something that might come up. This one has some nice widgets. It is delayed data. Delayed data is 9 minutes old. This 9 minute old stock market data is useless. If you want to, you can get the RSS feeds right from NASDAQ. To keep it straight, there's really only about 4 computers in the world that track all. So otherwise, it would be a mess trying to organize it. It's not too bad to correlate 4 computers down to the nanosecond around. If there were millions of computers, we'd have to. The more computers we had that are tracking the same thing, the more often the longer it takes to coordinate all of them. So with only a couple computers, one of them is NASDAQ's computers up in New York, so which is the actual like auction block market where an auctioneer stands there and sells stuff. You'll see pictures of that. The ones that looks very, very chaotic, the NASDAQ actual floor. Their computer, we can grab the RSS feeds and get the up to the moment. That's not the page I was thinking of. Right, so I click a category. So maybe let's go to stocks. I mean, it looks like this. Usually we can filter them down. But the RSS feed might look kind of familiar to us in this class, right? It's a little bit different, but it's definitely a markup language. So RSS feeds are typically done in XML. So this is where you would get up to the millisecond data. And just get that. Sorry, up to the millisecond costs money, but 9 minute old data is free. So 9 minute up. It would look exactly like this if you paid for the most current one, but like not cost a couple dollars either, right? That's stuff like JP Morgan as an entire huge massive banking corporation buys. So probably not something you're going to buy on an individual level. But 9 minute old data is free and good for most people, right? Most of us aren't worried about that up to the nanosecond accuracy of our trading. So we would choose different charts. Big fancy one like this. Some thumbnails are in the way. Technical analysis. Looks like they're loading slow. Maybe if I go to this side. And there's a get widget button. So whatever one you want, you would just choose the stocks that it's going to show. So this looks like it's showing something overall. Narrow down what it's looking at. I guess this is an overall index. And then after you get the settings you want, just dark mode, change colors, hit apply, and then there's the code that you copy and paste to put in your thing. Copy that. And this does the app itself. The app itself is somewhere else on the internet. So this is mostly a script that connects to where the actual application is held, and then the JSON data that you request. So reload that. And it should just take a second to load up. Taking longer than I thought. Market overviews are really common. See the chart for different amounts of time and just choose what you want to, there's some defaults, or you can search for new things. So add a symbol, T, that's probably on there, AT&T. Add that on there, get rid of the other symbols. This. Otherwise, it's taking so long. So add AT&T. We do have to have those two things with the abbreviation and what market is it traded on. And then set up two settings. So there'll be a green line and yellow line. Change the colors underneath it to purple. Fonts, all of that stuff. Default date range. We have all of our date ranges, but which one does it start on? Does it show just the day or for all time? Bunch of different stuff. Live or dark theme, open dark theme on this one. Bunch of different things. When you hit apply, you can see all the changes. And when it looks like you want it to, again, just copy and paste the code. And their little box here is set up so that when you click once, it automatically highlights the code. It's specifically designed to be copy and paste code. And yeah, I guess there are cheap ways you can get the current data, like subscriptions to something. So all of my investment stuff I do right through JP Morgan. So I could get it from them. They've got the full one. So with through the subscription, I could get the current data, but I don't do stuff enough to bother with that. Looking once a week is usually good, if even that. So I got stuff's gone up over the last 4 months since the last time I looked at it. Things like savings accounts, but when that copies and paste in there, oh, the other one finally loaded. That one will probably load quick because there's only one bit of data to show on it. So we get the chart, see all the different information, what it's doing over time, all time, when AT&T was at its highest. All that information, little things like that. And there's lots and lots and lots and lots. So if you have other things you might want to look at, stock market seemed like a good example of the category. And then the widget we can edit. So like, where was that at? Oh, I left a whole bunch of other stuff on there. I'm going to delete all that stuff. But got another one on this tab. So I need an S here, and then a New York Stock Exchange, HRL. It's like Hormel chili. Oh, whoops. I messed up and somehow got rid of the D. Did I miss a comma? Oh. If you haven't worked with JSON data very much, so this is just one of our common formats for sending this sort of data. Is that it? Maybe that is what you. Okay, there we go. So there are like multiple ones we can track on the same one. So compare some technology thing to Hormel chili, which even on the 1 year thing, even without looking at that chart, you probably already knew Hormel chili was a very repeatable pattern. People buy a lot of chili in November and not so much in July. But an entire category of things, you can look around for different apps. That would definitely be something I would recommend. Look for a couple that I didn't put on here yet. You see how easy it is. The main thing is remember that at some point in your future, you're going to want to make those for other people. So make sure you have those things ready and paste whenever you have a site that's going to be worth somebody else embedding something from it on their site. I'll upload that to the domain host. Let's see if this will work now. The thing we were trying to do earlier, because I tried to install Apache without updating the Ubuntu server. So Windows subsystem for Linux will give you you can get Linux machines going right on there. Ubuntu is one of the most common ones to just set up as a web server. If you wanted to, you could go to that one I set up at the beginning of the class in the GRE labs here. Remote access, load some web pages up to that, and you have to access them from the labs here to see how it works that way. So if I try this again, so it should be sudo apt or apt-get. It used to be apt-get, and then they took out the dash get is no longer needed necessarily. Apt is a repository, and then get stuff from the repository, but that's all we ever do for that repository, so they took out the redundancy. Make it easier to type. Install Apache 2. And sudo is super user do, so that gives you automatic access to do anything on the machine. You haven't used Linux much, that's one of the things. It can be dangerous to have unrestricted access. Like those warning messages from Windows that pop up that every once in a while says, "Are you sure you want to do this?" You have to have admin privileges to proceed. Linux doesn't have those warning messages. It just runs the instructions. Okay, it looked like that works. So sudo service Apache 2 start. There we go. It started that time. And if you do that, you'll probably want this other thing. So IP ADDR gives us all the information about our connections, all the connections. It's way too much to dig through. So you type IP space ADDR for IP address. Then the pipe symbol, this is what that symbol, why that symbol is actually on the keyboard. Pipe means take the output from that function and use that as the input for another function. So piping an output back into an input. The vertical bar right above the enter key, on the same key as the backslash. So send that to grep. I can't remember the whole acronym. It's something with the regular expressions, which is pattern matching. And look for the pattern INET, because that is the INET is the label right next to the actual IP address we want. You should see something down here. The third, if you run that instruction, the third one down. The first one is the local machine address, so it won't always work on that. There's some special things we have to do to make that work. For the one that looks the 4 3-digit numbers, or 4 numbers somewhere between 0 and 255. Paste that on here, hit that default page there. Now let me come over here, and I'm just going to grab those files that we just did for today's class. I'm going to grab those, and I'm going to come down to the Linux machine. So Windows subsystem for Linux, again, it shows it right over in it's fully integrated. There's a address. I guess while it's on the screen, I can show you this. IP config. If I pull up the IP config, so my laptop thinks there's an Ethernet cable connected to it, but there's no Ethernet cable connected to my laptop. And it goes to this address right here. 192.168.176, something at the end, but you'll notice that lines up with this address here. So they're networked together already. And fully integrated, can get to the Linux stuff from the start menu or get to them from File Explorer here. So if I go to the Ubuntu machine, under bar, and www, and HTML, if I just delete that original index and paste the index page we made today along with those files we need for the old file tags. When I reload it, that's what's now at that domain address. And then it's just like you used to from the domain host. If you organize things into folders, which you probably should anyway, just slash folder name, slash folder, slash file.html and all that stuff. Once we get to the domain, then we navigate through our folders and files with the slashes like normal. But that's kind of all it takes to set up that domain host stuff. You see everything's still working like it was. I will look into what the deal with the YouTube video things is. Those ones that didn't work, but I feel quite certain that that's going to be a copyright issue. So there's probably a way around it, because I can say with certainty that the musicians want to get their music out there. So it's probably not their choice that it's on the copyright stuff, but I will look into it, see if there's a workaround. A bunch of those things, there's lots and lots of them out there on the internet. Might want to check some of them. I will put this up on the domain host soon, but there's not much in an example here because that was all code that was copy and pasted. Didn't really even read it anywhere. And if you want to get started trying working with setting up the domain host yourself, start with an Apache server. In general, the long run, you'll probably want to include a database, MySQL database, and Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP are commonly, you may have heard of LAMP stack. That's a full stack. There's also, there's several full stacks. There's MongoDB, full stack options. So Apache would be the A in the LAMP full stack. Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. So eventually you'll want to add those in. Types of full stack. That looks like something I'm not so sure for. Yeah, so LAMP, LAMP, LAMP and mean are probably the two most popular. Mean is MongoDB, so that's a non-relational database. And that's usually where people would choose one or the other. Well, some people like that because these are just JavaScript libraries that have gotten so big, we count them as another language, almost count them as another language. Same thing with jQuery. It's just a JavaScript library that people build up over the years. And those two in particular are set to run on a server. So then people use the same language for the server side and client side scripting, which has both advantages and disadvantages. But that, when you hear the word full stack, this is the first letter of those. That's what we're covering in this class. When you take the DBMS110 class, you'll see this. And then SDEV 255, you will Zach up in Indianapolis making the shell. So he is probably going to show that in the 255 class. I usually show PHP. So if you take it here on campus, it'll be this. If you take it online, it'll probably be the mean stack. I have more practice with the LAMP stack than the mean stack myself. Because I don't use Mongo either. I use well, that's not relevant to this class. There's lots and lots and lots of options, but the web server, some sort of database, and a scripting language is what's meant by full stack. So this is the first. This class is the first part of the full stack. But it's also an easy thing to monetize. But that's a lot like this. Okay. So they send us the code and we copy and paste it in. I'll look at that soon because I wanted to make sure there's plenty of time to do stuff. Because I'm sure you have stuff to do. It's an active subject we learn by doing. So you want to practice stuff and maybe after this, Google some of the widgets that you might be interested in. Probably not as super interested in the stock market widgets, right? But there are other ones you can put in, or you can get those YouTube music ones to play. Like if it doesn't work from the artist official site, check another site and see if it works from there, or somebody else's upload on it. Does anybody have any questions about that? Very straightforward stuff. On Wednesday, we will look at tables and forms. We will only see a little bit of scripting. We'll see some client-side scripting, and I always like to show a little bit of server-side scripting because we can't save stuff on somebody else's machine. Like if we transmit a script across the internet, we don't have access to, say, write a file and save any data on our machine. So we have to access the server if we need to save some data or keep it around. So I like to show at least some basics of both of those. But we probably want some nice forms to work with the inputs. We saw color input, another use for that. I think it was after class, somebody asked about date input. We'll see all of those on Wednesday. So we can make nice little, have the input boxes and the buttons to click on, check boxes, radio buttons. So we'll have all of that. So when we're ready for the dynamic scripting, we know how to put a GUI together for it. Which is becoming the modern way to do that. Desktop applications are quickly fading away. They're not completely gone, but anybody use VS Code for their text editor? That's a web application. That's a web page. And it loads into a container. So this is how we make modern GUIs with HTML and CSS. HTML forms and CSS. And then we can tie all sorts of other languages in that and bring it back out. What's in the chat room? Oh, Sublime Text. You spelled it wrong. It's Sublime Text. Just put that in the Google on Sublime Text and Sublime Text 4 will the biggest upgrade there was a lot of improvements, but the biggest upgrade is it will use the GPU and take some of your process and not put as much load on the CPU to write text when the GPU can handle that. And then the program you're writing can use the CPU.
I have to download it.
Yes, you just have to download it. You can use it for free forever, or buy a license. If you use it for free forever, let me open it up real quick. Right up here at the top of the window, it says unregistered version, but you're welcome to use it. But a text editor is a business expense for a programmer. So that's something you can, as an itemized deduction on your taxes when you're making really good programmer money, because you're going to want those itemized deductions. But Sublime's not bad. It's I think it's up to $100 now. $100 and you get that forever for every version they make it. So if you bought it now, it'd be good for make the $100 now. It's good for Sublime 5, Sublime 6, Sublime 7, and however far that's around for. So one-time purchase license. Oh, thank you, Grace. Yeah, she put the link right there, and Alonzo, it's in the chat room if you didn't see it. Does anybody have any questions about that? Really easy stuff today, right? Copy and paste. Copy and paste and stuff. Okay, that was 5 seconds of silence. I assume that means no questions. Y'all have a great day. I'll see you Wednesday, and then we'll look at tables and forms and add and putting ads in our page. But that's like what we did today. It's copy and paste. Have a good one. Enjoy that nice weather out there.
Hey Chris, could you help me with my CSS code?